How's it going, everybody? Shady's on Broadway, and we are going to be bringing you guys a Catan Colonist auto rank game. It's been about a week, maybe a little more, since I've made any content, so just wanted to give you guys something in the meantime. And yeah, we've been grinding games. We've been losing a lot, and admittedly, a lot of it's due to heat, a lot of it's due to poor plays. So ultimately, I want to try to not only climb. My goal, I'm not going to be crazy and say my goal is number one or top 10 or whatever, but my goal is to finish this season in the 1800 ELO range, which should put you upwards close to top 50, if not well over top 100. I think that's a more reasonable and attainable goal, one that I won't frustrate or burn myself out on. So right now we're around 1600, which is what you would consider like a higher end of average. But I know that we have to keep trying to consistently do better. And with that, let's jump into the game. So hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are watching, and we are going to be jumping into this one. So, oh yeah, and then my ad blocker, I turned it off. I mean, I might have to turn that on at some point later, but we'll play it out. So we're going to be looking at second. First takes the definitively correct choice with the 694. Best wheat on the board. That is always what you take in first. No questions about that. What am I considering in second? Well, when we evaluate our outs, I really do like the 9-5-10. The reason being is that gets us the second best wheat hex, as well as a bit of brick. We can play off the ports like the 3-1. One thing to consider though is if you were to take something like 6-5-9, the 9-10 could potentially be contested. I do also like 8-5-10 here, kind of with the idea, playing around the concept of ending up with something open on the way back. I think fundamentally speaking, just because there's a ton of overproduction of sheep on the board, 5-9-10 is just going to be the more consistent play. Now, the reason I don't point left here toward the 8-10 with the wheat port is this is going to be a what I call forced out for black. So absolute worst case scenario, the 8-10 actually plays quite well into black setup. They can play or wheat sheep with a flexible port. So kind of a idea there is to tempt them into that placement. Another fun idea that a lot of people might have viewing back at home is you have 6-11-3 here, which allows you to double up on the rare ore. But the consideration there is that when you're playing in second, you're not too sure what you're going to get on the way back as far as, when it comes to wheat. Everybody knows that wheat is the most important resource. Now, given on this particular board, another thing I'm considering is possibly ending up with 11-10-9 on the way back. Now, that is really bad in the context that we're doubled on 9s and 10s. However, one important thing to note is that it's coordinated wood brick, coordinated wheat ore. So that is something that we as a player can kind of respond and kind of gauge toward. Now, orange does take the 8-5-4 point to the right, and I think they are going to be punished by black, who will more than likely do 8-10 to 8-3, unless we leave them something to the extent of 6-12-11. But I would even argue that that's not necessarily directly better, because then you're doubled on 6s, which, I mean, it's hit or miss. You essentially produce a ton of ore wheat sheep. But we'll have to see what happens here because it looks like green is going to be locking up some of this wheat here on the right. They're going to be sharing this 9 with us, so that's a particularly important share there. And they are going to be gunning for the coordinated 9s that we just talked about. These are what I call power rolls. Effectively, every 9 here, once these have established cities on there, are going to be producing basically a point roll for green. So despite them having low initial production, I think what this allows for orange, though, is a very exceptional 8-4-3 or 6-11-3 to the 4-11, which lets them effectively play all 5 resources with very strong production. Now, granted, their number diversity is not great, but really nobody is on this board, right? Harsh reality, though, if that's the case, we might end up with 8-5-10, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It does mean that we have coordinated roads for 10s. But it also means that we never have a reality or a possibility of connecting our network, which effectively, under most circumstances, is going to limit us to what we call a build to 10 setup, which is where you win the game without road or army. Oh, voice crack. Or you have to figure out a kind of different approach, possibly budget or wheat sheep. Where we effectively pop when we feel necessary, granted based on actions and roles determined by the table. So we do see the 4-11-3 get selected, which is a little bit creative. I have to give them style points there. But I do actually think that, we could take 8-4, excuse me, what the heck am I talking about? We could take 8-10-3, right? And the idea there is that you now create two pockets of spots for them to possibly take. I mean, is that little bit of ore worth it on the 3? I actually don't necessarily think so. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about it later. But the idea here is that if I go this, I'm fairly confident I lose the 5-10. If not, it's heavily contested. So I actually prefer this. And I could very easily see them also placing on the 8-4 directly with the port, which is okay as well. But leaving 6-5-11 open in the middle kind of like opens it up a little bit for interpretation. Another idea is we could have done 8-10-3 point down to the expansion. But because black is kind of, I mean, black could take 6-5-11. The primary issue is that this is a dead zone in the center. So it's a really good spot for them to take in terms of overall production and resource diversity, but they're effectively expanding nowhere from it. So the idea or concept behind doubling this here is I'd like to get on this 3-1 as quickly as possible, and then we'd like to perform a city on the 8-5-10, or on the 9-5-10, and a road settle here on the sheep port. Kind of effectively turning the 5 into a free card. Now, the reason I don't value the 3 or too much here is I do think that it is going to be a shared block. There we go. So we correctly gauged the fact that this would be selected. And that actually does leave the 6-5-11 open. So we roll 2 10s to start, which is an exceptionally good roll for us to start this game with. And we're going to drop that road to the 9 because this 3-1 port is our priority this game. We get this 3-1 port and we are looking strong. Orange rolls the 7. Orange will more than likely block the 9 wheat. Oh, okay, they hit the 10 brick. I don't mind that, provided they don't pluck the brick from our hand. We now just need to roll into a wheat or get traded into a wheat for a settle here. This 9 is exceptionally strong, and it puts us in such an advantageous position. Now, if we are able to get to this... I actually just have 4-1 settle. But I was going to say, if we can actually get to this 8-4, or even to an extension just the 8, I will actually try to snipe that. Just for the quick and easy value of the points, right? But again, this 3-1 is so essential because we overproduce on wood that I'm really loving the fact that we just have it in hand now, no matter what. And I think I just take it outright. So, of course, we did roll very favorably. I don't think anybody would ever trade a wheat on that position. I don't even think anybody has one. But, yeah, we are off to an incredibly lucky start with a 10-10-5-5 sequence. Unfortunately, though, the 10 rolls here while it is blocked, but we can't really complain. Orange is going to be gunning toward the 8-4, which makes absolute perfect sense for their game. They do need an expansion, granted that black just cut them off. But I don't even know if I necessarily feel the need to contest this because they need the expansions for their own game, right? They have to move effectively. Now, if we do have the opportunity to move the robber will more than likely go to the 8 sheep on the bottom here by us, because that kind of limits what black is able to do. I'm not too particularly concerned with green yet. Now, granted, when they get a city, we are going to be catching a ton of blocks here on the 9, but I would argue that their city should go on 10-9-11 just because it outputs the wood brick ratio slightly better. And of course, you always need more ore than you do wheat when you're popping development cards. But kind of how we play this game is we're just going to be patient and we're just going to see what rolls. We don't really have to react too much to the table. Kind of that's another 10 that we missed, unfortunately. But kind of a nice thing about our setup is that we go a little bit under the radar. For all intents and purposes, our setup is actually very weak, so we don't really catch too many robs. We might catch a lot of blocks. I think right now it always goes to the 9 just because that they recognize that it is a very enabled hex and number. Now, granted, I do think that green should be the rob here because all I have is wood, and I don't think black is particularly chasing a wood right now. There you go. They're looking to pop a dev more than likely. They have a hand of 6. Oh, they were looking for wood. Curious as to why they didn't rob me there. We always ask for 2 cards because the 1 sheep does not provide anything for our present hand, but if they're not willing to budge, then that's okay, because it didn't really help us anyway. But yeah, so we're just going to be playing into that. Now, the expansion here to the 5 sheep as a next open spot is not necessarily to get the value from the sheep port, right? I could always point the road here, but I'm actually going to hold here on 5, which may end up being a mistake. We'll have to see. But okay, we are rolling a lot of 10s, and granted, 2 of those 10s were blocked earlier, and we now have another settle in hand. if we don't roll a 7. I could have ported down to a wheat, which actually I probably should have done. I think that was a misplay on my end, because if my wheat is pinned, I'm not rolling into a nat settlement anyway. So a little bit of a blunder there. I think the correct move was to port my 3 wood into a wheat before passing, because now I have the chance to 7 out. This particular trade is not necessarily bad. I do think it gives them the settlement, and I will actually take the wheat, though. There you go. I was about to counter either with that or a 2-1. Hopefully we don't roll a 7, that'll suck, but even if we do, we now hold the settlement in hand. And actually, if we roll another number, we could plow orange, but again, I don't want to do that. I think main contender in this game is going to be black. There we go. So, ooh, that is very tempting to snipe this 8, because granted, it gives us the sheep port, but I'm not going to do it, right? I'm not going to do it at all. I'm going to go ahead and just take this, and I think I dropped the road here. The issue is that I'm very much pacing ahead right now. And what I mean by that is I'm going to be catching a good portion of the robs and blocks. So I think ideally what I'd like to do is port this down into an ore. And whereas I might normally drop the road here to the 10 kind of as a buffer, I'm actually going to hold the 4 cards. And the reason I hold the 4 cards here is if a 7 is rolled and I'm robbed, I'm hoping that they rob the wood or brick instead. See, this 9, if that was unblocked, 2 wheat there for us would have been so crucial. At this point, what I tell people is, you don't want to be this guy, because this is my favorite type of way to play the game. I don't like playing more wheat sheep, I don't like playing devs if I don't have to. Now granted, what that means though is you have to be very careful with your card and resource management. So effectively here, I have to port down my cards into cities before it gets too chaotic in the dev card race. And because I'm pacing in front and as lead, every roll here matters. Like those 2 wheats, like I could have fortunately run into like a 5-10 combo, which could have possibly let me city. But now at this point, we are going to be holding, trying to establish the city of our own. Now, whereas traditionally I was talking about earlier where I would city the 9-5-10, because in an endgame scenario, I do picture this 9 being hammered the most, I think actually sitting the 8-5-10 is going to be the correct play, because it gives us, oh my gosh, that's 4 wheat, guys, that we just lost. And again, my rolls have been very lucky. It's just with the blocks on these particular spots, we've been getting slammed. But anyway, with the city on 9-5-10, what that allows us to do is utilize the sheep port into any card that we want, while also turning the 5 into a free card plus a wood. And whereas that is important, we could potentially look at a long-term connection here to 6-5-11, depending on what green does. But I think green will opt to go for that next. But black is rolled into a ton of ore, and I'm a little bit concerned with that. Thankfully, green ends up getting a dev. Hopefully they pull a knight, because that unblocks us here. Yeah, and I don't think green really has a good spot to rob us on. It is another nice thing. I mean, they have the 10, but we don't really care about the 10 too much. So we never give them 1-to-1 value here. That is never a thing that happens. So we're going to be declining that. If they want the wood, we will take 2 cards. And I'm also open to like this or that. The reason why I'm cool with 2 sheep is the 2 sheep is effectively the free card for us with the port. So it's not that big of a deal for us. Now granted, that does give them a lot of value, but the idea here is that I'm hoping to push them into the direction of being robbed, because their setup is still a lot stronger than ours. So let's see what they opt to do with their hand here, because they're not being given wood unless they trade for it, right? So that's another interesting idea there. Now see, had we even had a single 9 unblocked there, that would have been a very nice trade into the city. But what I'm going to try to do very stealthily here is secure this trade, if it is possible. Kind of because brick is kind of valued here, I feel like. Now, if our position is entirely stuck, one thing that I feel comfortable doing is porting down and dropping 1 development card, which, of course, we pull knight. But why would I do that is now I can effectively port the other 3 wood into the ore again. I never want to end my hand with too many cards. And because I'm pinned on the 9, which is my most important spot, and as you guys see, another 9 just rolls. If this 9 was unblocked, we would be steamrolling this table. Because with 6 wheat, we could have effectively built a city and built a dev there, which would have put us in such a huge momentum, right? So very, very unfortunate block there. But, yeah, I'm going to take this 100% of the time. If black accepts it, I accept it. Actually, I'll throw in a second. Oh, I was going to throw in a second card there. Yeah, I mean, the 2-1 doesn't really do a whole lot for us, but the 3-1 definitely does. Orange has to get the settle down, which is why they're a little desperate there to do that trade. So green confirmed non-knight, which is interesting information. This robber has to move to the 9. Well, actually, it doesn't have to. The reason I say it doesn't have to is because we might be looking to get more trades. But the issue that I come across here is because there's so much sheep on the table, I actually think that you might want to hit the wheat instead. But leaving green unblocked is also really bad. But it's definitively black here. That's who we are looking at in terms of point leader. I'm just trying to establish, like, yeah, they just got embargoed. I'm just trying to establish, like, what we're doing. Because, yeah, are they going to just 4-1 settle? Is that the idea? I mean, I don't mind that. I don't have wood is the problem. Oh my god, green just gives them the... I mean, that's a good trade, but the value there that they get out of that is crazy. Yeah, so we're going to have to pre-knight that. And it's going to be black, always. Oh, and they rolled a 6. Okay, so we are going to port down into an ore. I will try to offer a brick for an ore to see if that swings. Or a brick for a wheat. It's always good to try to trade before you complete an action. But alternatively, we just do this and pass. Because, again, what we're trying to do is get an open opportunity for the 9 to roll, where we can establish a city. And, see, I hit the 9, which is unfortunate. I think I should have hit the 4, because then orange hits the 9. But now we get hit on the 10 as a result. Because black is always the block. But if I hit it on the 9, then orange has to hit the 10, which I respect. So I think that might have been a mistake on my end. But recognizing the wheat rolls, a 9 here would have been very bad. Well, not very bad for... It would have expedited their games. It would have given me the city, but, yeah, at this point, that's kind of irrelevant. And again, this is why I have to prioritize the 8-5-10 city, even though it's more inefficient. The 9s and 10s are always going to be the blocks if the players are looking at myself, which is fine. It's a granted, very strong block, overall. So, it's tough. I mean, their hand is a little stuck. I can always do the brick for 2 sheep. That's not a bad offer in the slightest. But I don't have the wood that they're looking for. Yeah, they're just going to drop roads. I guess they're gunning for the 3-1, so I don't know why they opted to... Oh, man. Huge 4 roll there. That really sucks. Black's hand is flooded with wheat right now. They're going to be looking for a ore. And this is kind of an interesting scenario. Yeah, they're just going to be deving because they have wheat port, right? So it's... Yeah, and we don't catch a single roll there. That's tough. That's really tough. We do roll the 5 now, but of course now we're on 8 cards, right? So this is where we don't want to be doing that. Really hoping we don't roll a 7. They do roll the rob on the black there. And oh my gosh, there we go. And that's exactly what I didn't want to happen. I'm going to toss all this. I actually think I tossed the brick and the wood. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah. We really don't want to be doing that, but that's the issue when you produce 3 cards, and now we're probably going to get hit as a result. Oh, man, they steal the ore that we ported for. That's tough. And we roll a 10. Very unfortunate, and this is where we kind of get blasted, because as they're rolling 7s and pulling devs, we're in a position where we're not leading, per se, like definitively, but we are in a strong position of pacing. And I really do hope that the table recognizes Black's position, right? Black is in a insane position right now. I'm going to be looking for any 2. Oh, they just grabbed the 1-1. I mean, it makes sense for their game, but yeah, we need to get this city down like ASAP. If we don't, we're going to be in trouble. We really need to roll a 9 and then perform that into a city. Oh man, no, and they're just going to hit R9 now. And it's so tough, right? Because where do you hit orange as black if you're even looking at that? You have the 5, right? Otherwise, you have the 9 as such an appealing block with 2 devs down on orange's side. Or excuse me, green's side. Because I do see, yeah, that has to be the rob for them, unfortunately. Oh, gosh, I just hate that. They're just consistently breaking my cards here. And what sucks is I'm going to probably be forced into a port pass scenario again, and I might even actually have to buy a dev card. Which I really don't want to be doing, right? Because every knight that I pull is so bad value for us right now. But because we just keep getting hammered, I don't really have another option. Okay, we pull mono, which is best case scenario. So I can quit complaining now. But if we pulled another knight there, our game just it gets hard because we're just the target of these robs. And again, that comes down to favorable rolls, right? But I think traditionally when you look at my setup, you know I'm not getting road. You know I'm not getting army. I'm a straight build player here. With orange now having a city with a huge road connect, awesome 3 hex here. We could have to potentially look at a early sheep monopoly. What we have to use the mono on is at least a 1.5 value, and what I mean by that is that's either going to have to be city dev minimum or city settle, city road settle on the 10, to clarify. But ideally, I don't want to pop any more devs here if I don't have to. But now even black has potential to play into this, so it's going to be a little tricky, guys. There are a lot of sheep on the board for me to possibly rob. I do think my best play, though, now granted that I have the monopoly in hand and I have a little bit more information to go off of, I am going to port down into one ore, and I'm going to hold there. Actually, green has 2 non-knights, so I'm actually going to be porting into a second ore. I could buy a dev there, but I do think that's a mistake. What I would love to do if I can is get my own city without a monopoly, because then that turns the monopoly in a possible future orbit to be a lot stronger. But green, orange is just running away with the game at this point, because they now have another 3 hex enabled. They're going to be getting road, right? And they have 7 cards here down dev. This is effectively like 8-7 points on their side, where we're still on 4. Our only saving grace is this monopoly, but we've just caught so many frickin' robs that it's hard to crawl back from this position. Maybe I should have just got the knight, but the issue is I'm so far behind now on production. I think I have to do a sheep monopoly here. Yeah, I have to do a sheep monopoly here. And what's cool is we have sheep port. I really hope we don't roll a 7, and yeah, I just have to hit orange because of the amount of cards on the board. But it will give us a city. Yeah, there's not enough sheep in the bank to distribute, but there is going to be enough bank for that. I'm not even going to try to dirty mono that. So I'm going to go all in on this. We have to get the city, right? That's a given. Is that just a second city? Yeah, we just take second city. So thankfully that worked. I didn't count that precisely, but that had to be done there. For 2 cities, that is exceptional value. And I think that just skyrockets us to a incredibly high lead. Now, the issue here, though, is orange is now pacing 2 knights as well as longest road potential, right? So they buy 1 dev. Yeah. This is not looking good. This is really not looking good. I think I actually hold, possibly, because then that maybe disallows the bank from distributing, whereas if I port... Yeah, this is looking like orange's game. The issue is that orange buys 1 dev. I don't understand green at all here. I'm not doing it for free. I need at least 2 here. The problem is they're going to be asking me to feed it, but I have to get some type of value out of the feed, right? And if I'm doing a 1 to 2, yeah, I was going to say it would have to be for wheat if I'm doing a 1 to 2. The issue is that orange just builds 1 more and connects. So they have a knight, possibly. They go to 7. They build 1 road, that's 9. They just roll a city and they win. I don't have that. No brick. Ah, oh, shoot. Ah, I would have tried to work something there. That's fine. Okay, given the shift in the board state, we now have to chase devs. We are the only player with 1 knight down, and this puts us in a really bad position. where we don't have another option. We have to fight orange, and we have to get this shit off our 9 and keep them pinned. Because the reality here, like I'm saying, is 1 road, 1 knight, and 1 city. Or they just pull a VP, which is a lot easier for them than citying. And it's going to come down to miscommunication there if we fuck this up. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I think it's tough because they have Orport. I don't even know what the correct block for me here is. Don't get greedy, green. This is not no bueno. Yeah, and I mean, we open up a million spots for black, but now they're gonna have to try to get cities down, right? I think it's the 4. I don't know. I think it's the 4. I'm trying to figure out what the correct block is on orange because their only effective port is Or port, but I never hit the Or hexes, and I just have to stop them from deving. Ha 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 ha. Here we go. We got a race. We got a race. So I do have to get a 4th knight. But because orange... There we go. Good block. But because orange has effectively put all of their resources into 2 win conditions, we've kind of turned black to our side here. Because black is forced into holding road. Green considers themselves dead. Orange will now cut your road by settling 3-8. Possibly. I mean, we have to defend it. I don't have any cards. Yeah, the 5 is a good block for them. And again, I understand. At this point, we're in a tough spot. I would really like to keep this road settle of 10 available as my as one of my points, but I can't be a beggar or a chooser. At this point, I need full table cooperation to have a chance against orange. Oh, this is so tough. I've picked up no cards here, and our numbers just dried. Like we had really good promise, but yeah, they're gonna defend that. They go to 8, and then black just now needs a city and a settle, so it's easy for them, right? I'm not saying like, you know, it's not, but oh my gosh, we did not hit a single number for like multiple rotations. And what's tough here is all we need is another knight to eliminate orange from potential win threat here. But now they have more than enough cards to get devs on their own, and they're going to be defending the army. Or they're going to be chasing the road. Okay, I like this better, because by them chasing road, we can hopefully cheaply trade the roads back to black. And that hopefully means they're not buying a dev right now. If they do, though, that's a little scary. Okay, we have potential. We need to roll into our numbers here, like 9s, and I haven't even, like, there we go. Okay, black. Can I get you 1 to 2 roads here? I'm gonna do something like this. No! No, no, no. 4 wood for 1 ore. There you go. Call me crazy, but that's my correct sequence, I believe. Provided I don't roll a 7. If I roll a 7, then I'm going to feel stupid. I'm trusting you, Black. I mean, I know they have a VP, right? But I need to not roll a 7, because I didn't realize I put myself on 8 and not 7 cards. Oh, let's go, let's go. Okay, okay. Now, if I can swing a trade like this across, I'm going to feel like a genius. But if not, I probably have to offer 2 to even get a consideration from Black here. I would really like to triple dev. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. 1. Okay. 2. Oh, my God. Please just give me a freaking knight. Okay. Okay. We're cooking. We're cooking. So we get a knight for 9. And then we play RB and settle on 5 for the win. I was so scared I wasn't going to pull a knight there. But that's why the triple pop was so important, because my dev luck is complete garbage. And by forcing an extension of 2, Black or Orange cannot win here. So they now win with 3 roads, but Black now has to build a city and a settlement, which they can easily do, don't get me wrong. But Orange is effectively removed from the competition here because I'm dropping their points by 2, which gives me 1 fresh orbit to perform a settlement on the 5 here with the road builder. So what we really need to happen here, preferably, I mean, he probably robs us, but yeah, he robs us 100%. But what I'm trying to say is we have to prevent Black from getting the city down, because Black can win with a city dev card or city settle. And they're going to be going to probably 9 points this turn. But I'm no longer concerned about Orange because we take the army points off of them, and it just becomes a race between who can get a settlement or city first, or another VP between me and Black. So Green is out of the game and Orange is out of the game effectively. So this is looking very tough here, because what has to happen is I have to move the robber to the 9 because we just rolled into wood and wheat. So they are going to pop a dev. They could have pulled a VP there to put them on 9, but they're out of settlement pieces, so they have to city for their final action, and their easiest way to get a city is by rolling into a 9 here. They could have definitely also pulled a different sequence of devs, but it is going to be this, and it is going to be Black. Yep, there we go. We roll a very unfortunate 4, but we now just have 1 fresh orbit to try to roll into a settlement with our road builder. 2 4s in a row is not it. It's not it. We just need a 9, a 10, or a 5. 2 of those numbers. That is so dumb. That is so, so dumb. Because Black is going to hit us back with a knight here, and we're going to be losing cards. Okay, we might have a second orbit. We have a second orbit, I think, because I don't think they have city here. But then they could have VP, and their second card could be Yop or Mono, which is worst case scenario. Because again, the only way they win is 2 VPs city or settle city, because it's established they have 1 victory point left out of those 2 cards at minimum. Okay, we roll 5. We now win on a... We now win on... no, we don't have any winning rolls. God damn it. We went on a 10. Yeah, we went on 10. That's it. With that unblocked, it could have maybe had some potential. But I don't reveal my dev here because that it kind of... Actually, I don't think it matters if I reveal my dev. Yeah, I think I'll play it because, like, there's nobody that can cut it. Just blatantly tell the table what I'm doing. But again, they're trying to squeeze. They really need this. They really do. I'm so scared of losing to a... oh, are they just going to extend road? Okay. I mean, that's best case scenario for me, that they waste cards on brick there. They can't settle. They have to perform a city and a settlement, or a city and a VP. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that would have been so clutch had that robber not been there. But granted, the fact that we now only have a 3-1, that is going to... So we can buy a dev, but I don't think I do that. I think that's a mistake. Let me think. Maybe it's not a mistake. I'm going to buy the dev. I'm going to buy the dev. Because... I'm trying to think of what my possibility of losing here is. I think I do buy the dev card. Yeah, okay. let me kind of run you through that process. That was an incredibly good pull there. But let me run you through that. So my idea here is I know there's at least one VP left. And I know the dev card, like I know the dev card situation. We have a mono, we have a Yop, we have a VP in the deck. So that's 3, and then we have 6 knights. So my odds of non-knight there are 33%. So 33% I just outright win. 60 whatever percent I pull a knight, which is okay because I play the road builder, open the spot, and because black plays before me to play, yeah, they've had 2 VPs by the way. But Black could possibly have a knight to play before me. I have to have a knight to defend myself to unblock my hex to roll into that sequence to win. So hopefully you guys found that interesting. I do want to make a note that yes, our 5s rolled incredibly favorably, but our 9s did not, and our 9s were arguably more important. But if we look at activity stats, you guys will notice that we were hit quite a bit on these rolls that did happen for us. But I won't complain because, I mean, we had good fortune all around. But what ended up working in our favor, right? We knew green was an effective dead player just based on the way the game played out. The 9s didn't roll well at all. Just kind of the communication going that side. But we were able to get black, who plays a lot better into or we sheep into a position where they are forced to take road or we lose to orange, who's going for double play. So to open up the perspective, because I'm not really going to consider green here as a factor, even though they should have tried to been more involved in the discussion and trades. We're in a situation where orange gets so far ahead because of the favorable rolls that they're able to push for a double play to go to 9. What this then tells the other 3 players is if we do not perform a 3v1 to eliminate both win conditions, or at least one from this player, we all collectively lose. What plays very fortunately in our favor is that we don't have the space to take road, but we have the materials to take road. And black is the absolute opposite problem. They have to take road because of their positioning, but they don't make the materials to do so. So to the extent of how we played this, because black is forced to give us or wheat sheep materials for wood brick materials, they have to extend the road to stop orange, but the materials they give us only expedite our game. Because the difference between roads and devs actually give us actions like Monopoly, VPs, road builders, knights. It's a more offensive momentum action. And because of the trades we were able to secure from black, we now make the cards that we don't produce ourselves and have the versatility of our own setup to allow for the closure of this type of game. So I think I played this game pretty well. Might have had a couple of subtle mistakes here and there, but granted, when you're on a timer like this and you're talking and you're thinking and you're moving, I think we played it to the best of our ability. But I very much enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too, and I'll check you guys out next time. See you later.